Hi everybody. In this video I'm going to show you how to take up the waist and seat of a man's dress pants. Now before I get started, I want to show you what to look for when you go to purchase pants if you want to be able to take them up and let them out when you need to. This is a pair of pants that is designed to be altered, and the way you can tell is you can see a seam, you know, the back center seam, and if you move the belt loop over, you can see that that seam goes right up through the waistband and on this side. And if you take a look, you can see where you can unstitch these areas and then that waistband will flip up. This is a pair of pants that are not designed to be altered. Here is the back center seam, but as you can see, there's no seam through the waistband. You'll see it here, but not on the waistband here. So you just see the center seam here. The waistband is one band that goes all the way across. This is not the one you want to look for if you want to have that option to alter your own clothing. So we're going to work with this one here. And you can also see, now I don't know if this is with every pair of pants that are made to alter or not, but generally they will have this Hong Kong finish here. And you can tell these pants have already been taken up. So I'm going to show you how it's done. It's fairly simple. Now I'm going to take it up a little bit. So the first thing we need to do is take note of how it's put on. You can see the thread that is used to sew the belt loop on. That tells you that that's the last thing that was done in putting on this belt loop. And of course the belt loop is put on after the alterations were done. So be mindful of that because you will have to reverse order everything. So then you see the stitching here. So that tells you that when the alterations were done, they stitched here, flipped it up, and stitched at the top, and it was done. So we need to remove the belt loop. Now we're going to flip this back, and you'll need to take out whatever stitching may be here, and I take it up out to about right there. Since this has already been altered, there generally won't be stitching all the way across under here. So here it's tacked there. It was tacked where the belt loop was, and it's tacked here. This is the most common alteration that I've done for my customers and for the customers in the shop that I used to work in. People gain weight and they need the waistband let out. They lose weight, they need the waistband taken back in again. So be really careful when you take out the stitches that you make sure you don't cut the fabric, because people often do have them taken up and then let out again. Now what I'm taking out here is the stitching that I did here after I did the last alteration. And that was called Stitch in the Ditch. Okay, so the waistband is up and you can see what it looks like on the inside. This is what it looks like when it's all undone. So what we need to do, when you have your pants on, reach behind you and grab that back center seam, and you're going to chalk mark the excess that you've grabbed hold of. And you'll keep doing this until you get to the point where there's no more excess, and then it blends back into your pants where it fit. Now, if you have a lot to be taken up, this can end up going all the way down into the crotch. If you've lost a lot of weight, or if it's just the waist, it'll just be from here to here. Whatever it is on you, just take up what needs to be taken up. But I'm just going to start at the top and go here. Now, what I do is I will take my thumbnail, put it right on that chalk line, flip it over, and press the chalk where my thumbnail is. And by doing that, I'm transferring the marks to the inside where I'll actually be sewing from. Now here is where it ends. It's going to be a different direction. So you turn it around and you lay it out. Now here, I didn't mark up this way, so this is where I will take my ruler and I will mark it. This is 5/8 of an inch, so I'll move up here 5/8 of an inch, and I'll move up here 5/8 of an inch. Now, what you need to be careful for is when you sew through the waistband from here to here, do not taper. This needs to be, if it's 5/8 of an inch from the seam here, it still needs to be 5/8 of an inch here, because this area right here is where you're going to sew this to. So it needs to be a straight line. Do not start tapering until you get down to this stitching line here, and then you can taper into the original seam down here. And I am going to show you what that'll look like. Now, if it goes a little bit past your marks, that's fine. But make sure that you get as close as you can to these. If it's like right here, it's not matching up quite right, you can stitch it to see if it fits. If not, then go ahead and meet those lines, and then you might have to take it down further. Now, one of the things that has been very, very helpful for me is when you're doing this, as much as you try to align everything just right here, you can look over here and these things will be so far off, and then this will be off, and this will be off, and it doesn't look good. So what I do is take a pin and I go in sideways, and sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 tries, and sometimes it's 1. And I do that wherever there is going to be an intersection of fabrics right here. So I put my finger on the chalk line, make sure on the chalk line it matches up here, transfer my fingers over and put the pin in, and then pull it back and check to see if it's aligned, and it is. And then go down to the third one where the waistband meets the back of the pants, again where the chalk line is. And when you transfer the pants from your right hand to your left or vice versa, try not to shift the fabric. And that one's still a little off. Now, if it's off 1/8 of an inch and you're okay with that, the waistband or the belt loop will cover that. As you can tell, I'm not okay when it doesn't match up. Okay, now I'm going to sew down the waistband and into the pants and taper them to the original seam. Don't forget to backstitch when you start. Now, when I sew, I take my needle to my first pin and I pull it out. I don't sew over my pins if I can help it. Okay, and there you can see where I sewed the line right over the chalk and I intersected with the original seam. Now I'm going to take out this original seam and I'm going to press this open and I'll be right back. All right, I finished pressing the waistband down and I did the same thing as before, fold the corners under and press it down, because if you don't fold those down, then you're going to see them hanging down here. So the next thing you're going to do is get matching thread and do a little tack here and a little tack here. These pants are not for any particular person. I bought them for this tutorial. So I'm just going to grab whatever thread I have on hand and just put a few stitches right here. Now the last thing we need to do is put the belt loop back on, and as I mentioned before, you can see on the outside of the belt loop where the stitches were on the top. So I'm going to place this right here at the top where I know I'm going to be sewing it. So I will know where to place the bottom of the belt loop. And now here it is here. I'm going to move it up just a little bit, because you want there to be enough room for your belt to go through. I'm going to put a pin in here, and then I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and sew right across that original stitching line right there. Now I'm just going to fold this up here, place it where I need it, and stitch that down. Be sure to clean up all your threads. And there you go. And that's finished. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share it and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified when I upload more videos. Thank you. Bye.